So how do you see the overall condition of Indian economy and overall GDP growth happening this FY?
I think overall India is in a very strong position. Our strength comes from the low level of risk of the country. Our macros are very strong. Inflation is under very good control, better than expected. Corporate balance sheets are delevered. Fiscal deficit is in control. So really, if you think about what are the risks that India as a country faces, there's not too much. Growth, on the other hand, has been positive. We saw strong GDP growth numbers of 8.2% in the last few days. So the future also looks positive. We expect growth rates for the year to be 7% plus levels. While on the geopolitical side, I think we are also, from a relationship perspective, very well positioned. We have positive relationships with many countries. There are very few that have a good relationship with maybe Israel as well as Iran, or US as well as Russia. So to that extent, we are very well positioned from a relationship perspective. Yes, on the US side, there have been higher tariffs, but what I do believe is that negotiations are underway. We are close to a conclusion, and hopefully that too will be behind us.
So, what is the timeline, or what are the challenges, major challenges you see right now in the India-US FTA, and how this turmoil is impacting Indian businesses and exports?
What we understand is a large part of the negotiation on the US FTA is coming to an end in a way. I think the impact over the last few months from a business perspective has been focused on a few industries: garments, shrimp exports, jewelry and gems. I think some of these areas there has been some impact. However, the diversification has been very positive. All of these industries are looking at other markets and have seen net export growth despite the export restrictions that have, or tariff restrictions from the US. Only, I would say, the garment industry is one that has got a little bit more affected. Again, as I said, that I hope this will come to an end, and we do believe that something is around the corner.
We have a number of FTAs, including FTA with UK and some very prominent trade partners. So how those FTAs are working for India, and also are they one which can help to tackle this situation?
Yes, we signed a few FTAs in the last few months and years, I'd say. The utilization has been fairly positive. If you look at India-Australia FTA, it's been at about 77% utilization. UAE, India growth has also been fairly good. We've been seeing 15% plus growth in trade over the last few years between UAE and India. The comprehensiveness of the FTAs is also something to appreciate. I'd say one is, it's not only tariff reduction, but it covers many more chapters. And in fact, I'd say the UK-India FTA is maybe a model FTA for us to follow for all future. There is a clear flow over time of import duty reduction that will happen from India for certain sensitive areas such as automotive, etc. Similarly, on UK side, for maybe certain spirits or whiskies, there is certain element of shift in terms of duties. So it's been deeply thought out. And I think the thinking has been a lot towards what is beneficial for us, what are our no-go areas, and those areas have not been touched as well. So I believe the utilization will be good. I think us as industry, we are focusing a lot on spreading this across industry and making sure the utilization continues to go up.
Sir, how... despite these challenges, how the GST rationalization is helping the industry, and how you see it moving ahead?
Right. So the GST 2.0 was a game changer for the industry, and we are seeing that with respect to demand in October and November. We've seen a 50% increase in two-wheeler registrations in October. We've seen a 20 plus increase growth on other automotive products. Across the board, there is a much more positive buoyancy in terms of demand. With the tax slab change that happened in January, as well as GST, there's been a 2.4 lakh crore amount that has been given in the hands of the consumer. So to that extent, we are seeing that shift. We are also seeing a shift in terms of utilization levels of factories going up, and we believe that that can lead to a spurring of private capex, which has been a concern for economy in general. That should revive in the coming quarters as well.
So after these, talking about important reforms, we are again heading towards fiscal policy time, because we have a budget in February again, and industry chambers have some meeting with government also. So what are the major areas which you want government should work to help it further to boost the growth, to boost the manufacturing and boost the demand?
So the one ask that we had was the larger theme of Atmanirbharta to continue. Particularly, there are a few areas that we've highlighted. One is Atmanirbharta in defense. That is with a higher capital outlay for frontier technologies such as drones, UAVs, new technologies of warfare that are emerging. We need to invest more on that front. The second is continued spend on the OPEX on defense by about 10%, and about a 10,000 crore outlay for DRDO expenses for research on defense research. The second area of Atmanirbharta which we want to continue doing is on the success of EMS industry, electronics. We've recommended a mega IT park, maybe the largest in India, that can be set up, where you have OEMs, you have assemblers all getting together, and the value chain benefits that can come out of it and the value addition benefits that can come out of it can be very large. This is along the lines of Shenzhen in China or Vietnam, and that can lead to big benefits as well. And on the national minerals mission that has been launched, taking that for what we call as tailings as well. So can we have a tailings recovery program where more and more of critical minerals are extracted with higher level of research is the third area of Atmanirbharta. One more area we've highlighted is that the RODTEP, or the focus on exports, is something that is important. And an outlay for RODTEP, increased outlay, will make a big difference.
So, apart from this, you talked about defense, Atmanirbharta in defense. So, Russian president is visiting India from tomorrow. So, and Russia is one of the most important strategic partner of India from long past. So, how do you see this panning out? What is your, as an industry chamber, your expectation and reaction on this?
So, Russia has been a time-tested partner for India. For many, many years, strategically important to us. So to that extent, I think it is President Putin's visit here is a further strengthening of relationship between India and Russia. We are also looking at increased trade between Russia and India. I think defense is one area where we are very closely intertwined, and more purchases of parts and equipment will continue. And on the business side also, we are hoping for increased trade between the two countries.
So, I have a supplementary on this, because we have a BrahMos-like partnership earlier. So, do Indian industry is also keen to partner in such technology that can be commercially utilized in future?
Absolutely. So we are open to all kinds of partnership, whether it's in IT, whether it is pharma, whether it is in defense. And the business leaders, they're having a large business contingent coming down. We have a large business representation. And between the two, I'm sure we'll come out with more opportunities.
Recently, government has also working on bringing the private sector in the atomic energy sector. So how do you see this move?
No, I think it's a positive move. We are seeing that data centers is something where there is a dramatic increase. They are very large power guzzlers. And as a result of the growth of the plans of the data centers, we will or may fall short of power in the country. Now, to do that, we need clean power. Some amount or a large amount is being serviced by renewable power, but nuclear is another form of clean power. The technology is some time away, but we hope that with partnerships, research ourselves, we will have an opportunity to get into the SMR business as industry as well.
Recently, government also come up with labor reform. So how do you see that? How the industry is saying, and how it will create some comfort of the industry for further expansion and further realization of the things what they want?
The labor reforms are a game changer for the industry. Extremely positive. It simplifies from 29 labor codes to 4 labor codes. There is far more security that is given to workers, simplification of systems where people can move from one state to another. getting women on board with night shift allowance to women in terms of working, retiral benefits to the workers. So it's not only greatly beneficial to the workforce themselves, but I'd say even just simplification for businesses in terms of migration of people, lesser rules, simplification, certainty. We are looking at it very optimistically.
So another thing is that clean energy, transition to clean energy is very important for becoming globally competitive, because when you export, certain country asks for that. For this transition, what should be done by the industry, and also what are the steps government should take to promote that, to help that transition?
Right. So I'd say within industry, we have to continue to be more self-reliant. The value chain in China itself is very strong. Can we also have a similar kind of capability in India, where our scale of manufacturing of different parts or of the value chain can be of that standard? I would say that is certainly one. I think on this government side, at a state level, the rules are fairly different. Some states are very proactive in terms of implementation or usage of renewable energy. Some, there is a time delay, and some want to utilize the current grid and sources of power for energy. So to that extent, some more stability, I'd say, is the ask. Some more uniformity and more positive attitude towards use of renewable energy at a state level would be useful.
My last question would be, sir, what are the, I will ask because you talked about the area, what is the foremost demand of FICCI from the budget next year for further expansion of private investments, and also for spurring growth?
Right. So I shared with you a little bit about the budget, but I'd say the priorities for FICCI are on how do we make manufacturing a larger share of industry. We are at about 15-16% of GDP. We would like to take this forward. So I'd say the foremost focus for FICCI is how do we take manufacturing from its current 15-16% of GDP to 25% of GDP. To do that, we've identified 4 priorities. One is innovation and R&D. How do we make use of the 1 lakh crore budget that is set out? How do we increase R&D as a percentage of spend from 0.7 to 1% plus levels? And how do we encourage industry-academia relationships? The second part is ease of doing business, where we are partnering with the government to recommend reforms, give feedback, work with the government on speed of implementation. The third is on manufacturing excellence, which is focused on quality products, sustainability, women-led development, and Industry 4.0. And the fourth is trade and supply chain security. There's been a lot that's happened with respect to FTAs, a lot of uncertainty with respect to trade and supply chain uncertainty. So to that extent, how do we make sure that there is lower concentration risk of certain materials, critical materials that are needed for the industry, and how can we work as an industry to de-risk along with the government? So these are the 4 priorities, with the larger focus of increasing manufacturing as a percentage of GDP.
Now, I will do a supplement to it. For recently, export has been, after tariff war, export has been a concern. So how do government support the export and exporters that they don't get a hit from this situation?
Right. So I'd say that one is we're hopeful of a US agreement to come in. And if that happens, I think we'll be in the clear. If that gets delayed for some reason, I would certainly say that if there is some benefit or a subsidy that can be given to MSMEs in the sectors that have got affected, I'd say that that would certainly be something that will help employment as well as bridge the tide for a certain period of time until the agreement is signed with the US.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for talking.
Thank you.